Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Wylde. I am the creator of the Get ROI Not Debt or Regret Summit. I'm super passionate about educating consumers because everybody I know has a horror story about investing with a coach. And I don't know, sometimes online service providers too, but most of us have at least one horror story of working with a business coach that either didn't live up to their hype or didn't actually deliver all their program. We got ghosted, or we were mentally, emotionally abused, or they weren't, maybe the information they gave us was good, but they didn't give us enough support for us to actually get anywhere. And I'm really, it's heartbreaking, right, to see people who really do show up and put in all the work and they're still not getting results, and they're being told that there's something wrong with them. And the reality is that so many of these so-called business coaches just don't really measure up, right? Or maybe they're a great coach, but they're putting out programs like big group programs where there's not enough support, right, for people to actually get results. So that is why I'm on like a big freaking, I don't know, impassioned rant about this stuff. But instead of just ranting, I want to talk about solution, right? So that's what this whole thing has been about, is so that we could hear from different experts. Because sometimes when we make bad buying decisions, it's because we just don't know what we don't know. For instance, when Kristen Spears was talking about PR, I hired her to do PR for me, and I've had a good experience. But once I started talking to her in the interview, I realized that it would have been so easy for me to make a bad investment because I really didn't understand all the ins and outs of PR, right? So I hope that's what you guys have gotten out of this, is like really feeling empowered and educated, so that when you go to make your next hire for your business, whether it's a coach or a healer or a website designer or a copywriter, that you feel like you actually know what's going on, and you have some really good questions in mind to ask people. And don't let anybody discourage you from asking questions. Anybody who tries to shame you or acts huffy or whatever about you asking questions before you hire them, that is a huge red flag. Like, do not hire that person. So, but we're going to talk specifically about my niche. So my niche is helping coaches, high integrity coaches and healers, to raise their rates and create a sales system that they feel really comfortable and confident in using. So I teach them my sales system, and then we tweak it, right? Or if they have a sales system they're pretty happy with and they come to me, I'll just help them fill in the gaps, right? And help, like, teach them some, anything that they're not implementing already, and then we'll tweak it, right? So, but I'm all about helping the most high integrity coaches and healers to get out there and make sales, because it's often harder for high integrity people to really make it big online. Because number one, we're competing against people that are lying and skewing, and we're not willing to do that, right? The other thing is just that a lot of us, we are so passionate about what we do that there's a part of us that maybe feels a little uncomfortable with like marketing and sales, right? And we're especially not going to do it in a way that feels unaligned, right? So I really want to empower the people that are in this for the right reasons. So yeah, they want to make a lot of money and they want to create a freedom lifestyle and all these things, but they're also not willing to get their dream if it's at the cost of their soul, right? They're not willing to do that if it's the cost of it is, bullying and shaming people, manipulating people into buying. So I created a way of selling that and lead generation that is really ethical and it's really nurturing. And, so that's what I'm all about. Okay. So, first question, I just answered that. Like, what do I do? Okay. So how can sales coaching benefit you and your business? Okay. So here's the thing. Like, if you're looking at somebody and they're saying that they're a sales coach, it it may not mean what you think it means, right? So here's a place that you want to ask questions. Okay. So some people will call themselves a sales coach, but really what they're teaching you is marketing, and they're teaching you marketing in a way that's supposed to make people just show up and throw money at you. When you are a more advanced entrepreneur, you've got a warmer audience, you've really, dialed in your messaging so that it's really hot and it really speaks to the right people, then you can make sales almost just by marketing, right? But even like big name people like still do sales calls, you know, maybe not like Tony Robbins, but like other big name, you know, people, people that are already doing big things like often still do sales calls, right? When you're newer, a sales call is going to be the best way for you to be able to sell, and it's actually the most ethical way if you do it in an ethical way. So if you're really being more of a consultant where you show up on the call and your mindset is that you are asking really good questions, you're really listening, you're asking really good follow-up questions with the intent to figure out if it actually makes sense for this person to work with you. And you're not going into it with the idea that you're going to pitch no matter what, right? That's how most people teach sales. But if you go in with a consultation mindset and you're really feeling it out to see if it's a good fit, that energy is very different, and it's very, very ethical, right? Because you're really truly trying to figure out if this person is at the right stage, has the right foundation, you know, everything, right, to get good results with you. So somebody who's just teaching marketing and call themselves a sales coach, they're going to leave out an important component. Really good marketing is important, right? But most people cannot sell off of just posts. And I know there's a lot of hype out there that, you know, I can teach you how to write one post, or with this one post, I've made $50,000. Remember, with all these hyped up claims, they're not giving you enough context for you to see like really what's going on, right? So for instance, maybe this one post has made them $50,000, but they've been putting out this one post for a year and it's accumulated up to $50,000, right? Maybe they're doing an act as if law of attraction exercise, and they're putting out this thing, and that post with this overhyped claim is what makes them $50,000, right? But if you're not comfortable using that tactic, then they don't have anything to teach you that's going to work, right? So you just want to ask, like, if somebody is saying there's a sales coach, ask specifically what they help you with. Are they helping you with marketing? Are they helping you to actually create leads from your marketing? Are they helping you to nurture? Are they showing you a good process that feels good to you for how to nurture those leads, those warm leads, into buyers? Are they helping you book more sales calls? Are they showing you exactly how to talk to someone and have a sales conversation? And it's kind of the same whether you're in the DMs or sales calls. I like sales calls better because I want a real vibe check. Like I want a face-to-face with somebody before I allow them to hire me, because I want to make sure it's a really good fit, right? But you want to ask those questions. If somebody says that they can help you with sales and you're really interested in what they're doing, you want to ask a lot of questions and make sure exactly what they mean by a sales coach. Okay. So how can sales benefit us in our business? So a lot of people will spend a lot of money on business coaches and learning marketing and everything, and they don't understand why they're not making sales. A lot of people really oversimplify sales, and then again, a lot of people really overcomplicate it, right? But so many of the trainings that I have taken from a lot of different people, and these were like high ticket trainings, it boiled down to read this script and then pitch and then bully them until they buy, right? Overcome objections until they buy. And that's not really good sales training. It's not really helping you to understand the psychology and what's going on. And, you know, it's not good sales training. But a lot of people, you know, we'll teach them, like a lot of business coaches will put a marketing course out there, and then they just kind of tack on, here's this $10,000 script, use this and you'll get sales. And then people get on the calls with their potential clients and they read the script and it doesn't work, right? Or they try to overcome the objections. And I think that overcoming objections probably worked a lot better a few years ago, but people are becoming, you know, wise to the fact that overcoming objections is just, it's generally shaming and dismissive and kind of gaslighting, right? If somebody tells you, oh, it's never about the money, it's, you know, it's about your, you don't believe in yourself, right? That's like a real common thing. Or, you know, well, just stop having so many Starbucks and you can afford coaching. And it's like, how much Starbucks are the people who hire you drinking, right? So if you're not comfortable using those tactics, if you're not, I call it like, to make the most common sales tactics, kind of old school sales tactics, the bro marketing sales tactics, And that's not saying the way men sell. There's women who use bro marketing tactics, right? But it's the real pushy, manipulative, like won't let somebody off a call until they buy, kind of thing. And if you're not comfortable with that, then these really oversimplified tactics are not going to work for you, right? So if you have tried to learn sales in the past and you think you just suck at it, I totally thought I sucked at it. I was like, I suck at sales. But what it was is that I was paying people and they were giving me, like, different people were basically, there's so much regurgitated crap, right? And so I kept going to these different trainings thinking this person was going to teach me something different. And it was the same bullshit, like over and over and over again. And they were all teaching it like really poorly. So learning sales is, for a lot of you, the missing piece. Like if you are marketing and you're getting people interested, but you're not getting into sales conversations, then you need somebody who specializes in lead generation, right? And lead nurturing. If you are getting people on sales calls and you're closing less than 50% of the people on the sales calls that are good fits, then you need a sales coach. You need somebody who's actually going to help you with sales conversations. And this is where a lot of people get frustrated and they're like, oh, screw it, I'm just going to start a podcast and I'm going to sell on that, or I'm just going to start using sales pages and links and funnels. And the thing is, those things only convert at about 1 to 13%. And the people that are converting at 13% are the people like Tony Robbins, who have been in this forever, and the messaging is really fire and they've got a huge warm audience. And so if they convert 13% of a 5,000, well, I'm sure Tony Robbins, I can't even imagine what his email list is. I'm gonna say, just for easy math, that he's got 10,000 people on an email list and he converts at 13%, then that's 1,300 people that bought his program, right? But when you're newer and you've maybe got 500 people on your email list and you only convert 13%, like that's not a lot. And the thing is, you're not going to convert that many at that stage, right? Because your audience isn't warm enough, your messaging probably isn't dialed in enough, right? So sales calls, even when done poorly, convert at about 20%. My clients and like me with an ethical, this is the funny thing, ethical sales actually converts better. I don't know if you can see my sign here, but it says ethical works better than sleaze. Me and my clients close at about 60%, which is 3 times more than the average of 20%. The International Coaching Federation said that the average person, the average coach, is closing about 20% of their sales calls. So that's 2 out of every 10 calls. That's a lot of calls to do to only get 2 yeses. So if you're experiencing that, that may be the missing chunk of what you need to do to actually start making money in your business, or to start making more money in your business without having to be on so many calls, right? Okay, so what types of entrepreneurs does sales coaching benefit most in my experience? So everybody needs sales training. Everybody needs sales training. In my case, I have not had as much, this is just a personal thing, this is not all sales coaches. In my case, I haven't had as much success helping service providers as I have with coaches and healers. With coaches and healers, because that's the kind of marketing and sales I've studied for 10 years, I'm really good at helping them. But I had a copywriter client that it was more difficult, and I had an accountant client that was just a lovely human being, but it was really difficult for me to help her because I didn't know how to help her market. Marketing is not my it's not my specialty. I say I'm a lead gen and sales coach, but you have to have, like, for me, you have to have really good marketing, and I can help you refine it. And then we can go from there. But other coaches may specialize in different things, right? So that's an important question to ask people is, what kind of entrepreneurs have they had success with helping? And, what stage of entrepreneur do they help? Okay, so what stage of business do I think hiring a sales coach is best for? And when is too early to do this for most coaches and healers, or any kind of entrepreneur? Okay, so sales coaching, I think, is for everyone, but it's probably not the thing that you want to do first. Josh Matthew Morgan, who is the Matthews Morgan, who did the segment about how to hire a transformational mindset coach, and talked about EFT and mindset. He's actually the inspiration for this summit. I was just having like a coffee chat with him in September, and I was like, I should do a summit. So thank you, Josh. Thank you, Josh, for having that conversation that helped inspire me to do this. but we were having a conversation and he was talking about you can do the right thing at the wrong time in your business and it's not gonna pay off, right? So you could hire like the best sales coach in the world, but if you don't have leads coming in, or you don't have like your, a good foundation in your marketing, then you don't need sales coaching yet, right? So my advice, my general advice is that the first thing you need to do is work with like a marketing or a messaging coach and really get, your foundations of your business, your niche, your target market, your first offer, your social media strategy, like a very, when you're new, like a very simple social media strategy, like one platform, and just kill it on that platform and then expand. Because it sounds like you could get more leads if you like post everywhere, but the problem is that it's hard to nurture everywhere and you get overwhelmed and people fall through the cracks. So my best advice, when you're brand new, get a messaging or a marketing coach, ask them a lot of questions before you hire them, and implement on one platform, right? And get started. And then after that, you once you're working with a messaging and a marketing coach and you've got like a set social media strategy, and then you might want to, if they don't do anything for lead generation, because just putting out posts, posting and praying is kind of the method, or just putting out a post saying DM me, or here's my link, a lot of times it doesn't get you the traction that you really want. You might get something, but it doesn't get the traction that you really want. So if they're not helping you to recognize good leads and nurture them in a way that makes sense to you, that feels good to you, then you need to find a lead generation specialist, or a sales coach who specializes in lead gen and actual sales. And then, of course, if you work with a lead gen coach and you've got the leads coming in, then you need to get that sales piece in a hurry, because otherwise you're going to get really depressed and despondent because you're doing all these calls and you're doing all this marketing, you're doing all this work, but people are getting on the phone with you and they're not converting, right? So it's too early to hire a sales coach if you're brand new and you haven't started marketing yet and you don't know your niche and your target market and your first offer, right? You do not need a sales coach. But once if you've been, marketing for 6 months and you've been showing up 5 days a week, and, I know that sounds like a lot, but if you get a good messaging or marketing coach, they can show you how to streamline it so it's not such a big deal. But once you've been doing that for about 6 months and you are generating some engagement and some leads, then that's when you're going to need to get some either lead gen or sales coaching or both. Okay. Y'all let me know if you have any questions. All right. What do people need to be prepared for and committed to doing to make hiring a sales coach a great asset for their business? Firstly, like with any coach, you need to have very realistic expectations of how much time, effort, focus, and work it's going to take to make it happen, right? Because there's so much marketing out there that makes business sound easy. It's just this 1, 2, 3 step, and these people get on on their trainings or in their marketing, and they sound so confident, and they're really like convey that authority, and you feel like, oh, this person's got some secret figured out, like I need to go work with them, like I can just give them $5, $10, $20,000 and I'm going to have a business. And it's not that simple. Like you can literally pay the best coach in the world, but if you are not ready for that type of coaching, if they are not morally aligned with you, if there's just a lot of factors, which is why you really need to like take your time and research people and ask questions, right? And don't ignore your gut. But yeah, to really like for clients to get good results with me, they've got to be willing to like watch my trainings and do the workbook and come prepared for our calls so I can go over the workbook together, right? So one of the things that really sets me apart is that I don't just tell you what to do. I give you like really good instructions for how to do things. And then because human communication is not infallible, I sit down with you and we do some done with you stuff. So, I'll either help fill in the gaps of the work that you did, or I'll help you refine it, or I'll just say, good fucking job, right? So that you can feel confident and you can feel good about going out there and doing something. And so with different coaches, it's different things, so it's very important to ask how they work. Do they have trainings? Is it just calls? Do they give you any kind of outline or anything, to go along with the training so that you can start implementing it more quickly? Do they have exercises? Is it strictly, consulting and coaching where they're just telling you what to do or asking you questions? Or is there, a teaching component to it? And with a business coach, y'all, there needs to be a teaching component, right? It's we're not pure coaches. If you have a business coach and all they're doing is asking you, well, what feels good? What do you think you should do? What does your intuition say? That's a problem, because as much as intuition is important, and it is important to understand how you feel about what you're doing, you also need guidance, right? There's strategies and skills that you need to learn if you're going to be successful more quickly, right? So really asking people like what does working with them look like, so that you really know what you're getting into. With the sales, the best thing I've found to help me, like the best thing that helped me, like once I developed a way of selling that felt good to me, I then practiced it with people. So I just found other entrepreneurs in my network and said, hey, I need to practice sales calls. Do you want to practice sales calls with me? And this was a few years ago. I don't even know if this tactic would work now, honestly, because people have been so aggressive, and getting on sneaky sales calls, like inviting people to coffee chats and then like trying to force them to buy, or even market research calls. Here's a hot tip: before you get on a call with anyone, if you are not actually thinking about buying from this person, or even if you're thinking about buying from them but you're not ready to make a purchase, insist on an agreement of no pitching. And if they are actually a high integrity person, they're going to be like, yeah, no problem. I hate when people pitch to me on coffee chats. But if that was their intent all along, was to like lure you in and get you on a call and then turn it into a sales call, they'll usually balk. They'll usually have like some kind of hissy fit and get mad because you don't trust them, or something. But you don't want to waste your time, right? Like, and if somebody is being sneaky, they're not high integrity, you don't want to work with that person. And especially if that's a tactic you would never use yourself, right? Because they're going to try to teach you that tactic. How somebody sells to you, how they market to you, how they come at you in the DMs, that is how they're going to sell. That's how they're going to teach you to do things. So be mindful, of that. Okay. What makes the way I run my business different from others in my field? Okay, so I've talked a little bit about how I'm different. I actually teach and I consult, and I coach and help people tweak and innovate. And I don't just do like, here's an assignment, go do it. I actually do done with you stuff, right? So that's one way that makes it really different. One of the hugest things is that I really am dedicated to finding out, like, if I really know who I work well with, and I'm really dedicated to asking all the questions so that I know that I am the right person to help this person. And then, and only then, will I pitch. And then it's up to them whether they're not going to buy. Or whether they're going to buy. I don't do overcoming objections. I hate that. I think it's bullying. I think it's sleazy. I think it's gaslighting. I think it's, and I don't think it works that well, honestly. I actually teach my clients, don't overcome objections, because if you're overcoming objections, you're going to end up with clients that aren't a good fit, and then it's going to drain you. You're going to get, you could get bad reviews. They could start drama online. They can charge back on you. So don't overcome objections. So what I teach is addressing concerns, because if somebody just tells you, no, I don't want your program, you could classify that as an objection. But if somebody's saying, yeah, I'd really love to do it, but I don't have the money right now, or I'd really love to do it, but it's just not the right time, or I don't have time, they're sharing a concern with you, and you can use that to open a conversation. And maybe they still choose not to buy, but it's the way I teach it, it's like a bonding experience with the client, and it makes it much more likely that, even if they are it really super is a money issue, it's not just a limiting belief. I believe that all concerns are usually a combination of limiting beliefs, fears, and real world concerns, right? And that's very different. Most people teach you that all objections are just money, are just mindset issues or limiting beliefs, and that's not true. Sometimes there really is real world stuff going on. So the way that I teach that is very different. And the way that I teach that, even if the person really is legitimately having a lot of money issues or time crunch or whatever, because of the way that you handle it and you're addressing the concern instead of trying to bully them into something, they're much more likely to buy from you in the future, right? So another huge thing that makes me really different, I despise these contracts that say that you're in no matter what, and you're stuck paying for something, and you're stuck working with me no matter what. I don't want to be stuck working with somebody that is not getting results. I don't want to be stuck working with somebody who is not happy. So I instituted what I call an escape clause in my contract. So at any time, if somebody is showing up and, or they're not showing up for appointments, or they're not doing the work, or I just realized that, I thought we had good chemistry, but we don't. I'm going to tell them, I'm sorry, it turns out I'm not the right coach for you. Here's your money back for anything you paid in advance, or, here's what you owe me for the sessions you've done. And then we make a clean break. And I also have it spelled out in the contract why somebody can fire me, So most coaches' contracts just cover their asses, and it's all about, your responsibilities, and very little about what they're responsible for. And I think it's bullshit. I think it's a red flag if you see somebody's contract like that. But I have it spelled out. Like, if I lose my mind and I was a drug addict in my 20s. Like, if I lose my mind and like go back to like doing ecstasy every day, and I'm showing up to calls high or whatever, yeah, they can fire me, and I have to give their money back, right? So that's something that makes it very different. And that actually helped me in my sales, because I would get so nervous about, oh my gosh, like, what if I pitch to this person and they're not the right fit? Well, now I have this extra layer of protection, so that if I do pitch to somebody, and it has happened that I started working with somebody that I ignored my instincts on the sales call, and I let them hire me, and it was not a good fit. And so I didn't even have the escape clause then. I added that in actually because of this incident. We kind of mutually fired each other. And I was so glad to have that just gone. I was so glad to have that person gone. And she paid me for the sessions she had done, and then that was that, right? So that, I think, that's the only ethical way to do things. To just trap people into a contract, I think, is just, it's bullshit. I think that tells me that that person's not a very good coach, right? If their program is that great, then they shouldn't have to like lock people in. That's my thought. Now, if somebody's buying a course from you, it's a little bit different. And like Notori Arundel, when she came on and talked about contracts, we kind of addressed this. If people are getting your intellectual property and they're getting it, all at once, that's a little different. But for coaching services, I'm not having somebody pay for coaching services that they didn't get, right? You're going to pay me for what we did, but if there's 3 months, left on the contract, then I'm just going to let you, out, and you're just going to pay for the month that you did, or whatever, however my program is set up when I'm working with them. Okay. What do people need to ask anyone they're thinking of hiring in my field before hiring a sales coach, and what are the red flags they need to watch out for? So I've kind of spilled the tea about a lot of those as we've been going, but again, asking like, are they teaching? What are they teaching? Is it marketing? Is it lead gen? Is it lead nurturing? Is it actual sales? Okay. Because they all go together, and the lines kind of blur between them, right? They kind of overlap, but you need to understand, like, and if they're not able to give you a clear answer about what they're going to teach you and what they're going to coach you on, you don't want to work with that person. That's somebody that maybe they're new and they mean well, but they haven't tested their stuff. They don't really know what they're doing. So make sure you're very, very clear about exactly what part of sales, if they're calling themselves a sales coach, what part of sales are they teaching you? Asking somebody, looking at people's testimonials. And if all their testimonials are really pie in the sky, that is kind of a red flag. It's, even though it seems very alluring, you would want to really ask them, like, what program or what level of support were these people getting, right? Because often coaches, not just sales coaches, but just like business coaches, will use the testimonial from a one-to-one client who was a very advanced entrepreneur already, right? And so, it was easy to get them to 30K months, for instance, because they were already making consistent 20K months, right? But they'll use that testimonial to sell to brand new entrepreneurs who they're and also who are coming into a big group program, right? So that is something that really held me back in my business, because I didn't understand the skewing of the results and how they were sharing, results from people that there was no way I was going to get those results, right? And I would feel like crap about myself because I wasn't making, I didn't double my ROI in 2 weeks or, whatever. So ask them, and don't just listen to their answer, listen to how they answer you, watch their body language, but just ask them, like, what was this person's foundation? Where were they in their business? What type of businesses have you worked with? What type of businesses do you have the most success with? These are all really, really important questions to ask anyone before you hire them. And I mean, you can convert those questions to any niche that you're hiring, not just business coaches. You can kind of just be like, okay, if you help people lose weight, okay, great. What age are these people? What kind of health problems do they have, right? Because the testimonials that they're putting out, everybody's going to put out the most bright and shiny testimonials, but you need to know the context, right? To see if that's really what's possible for you or not, right? And don't let everybody say, well, you just have to believe in yourself. And, if you're all in, this is going to work. It is more than being all in. It is more than your commitment and your determination and how much work you put in. If you don't have a quality mentor, or even if you have a quality mentor, but the way their program is set up doesn't give you enough access to get the help you need from them. And the newer you are, the more handholding you need. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're not going to get what you need, then there's no point in spending the money, right? So just make sure that you're asking really good questions. Red flags. Again, how somebody sells to you is how they're going to teach you to sell. So if they are being, really pushy, if they're, badgering you, anything like that, and you're not comfortable doing that, then do not hire that person, because that is what they're going to teach you to do. Read people's contracts very, very carefully, even if it's just checking a box before you put in your credit card information. I got burned this summer because I didn't thoroughly read through one of those checkbox things, and paid $2,400 for a done for you launch. It was supposed to be a done for you peaceful launch. That's like the real, because it was neither done for me and it damn sure was not peaceful. And I paid $2,400 for a program that they didn't deliver. They didn't deliver any of my assets. They didn't deliver the landing page, my graphics, any of that stuff. And they just kept giving me excuse after excuse. But the contract was binding. And so my credit card company would not allow me to charge back. And I tried to work it out with the person before that. I was like, can I get a partial refund? Because, I don't trust you anymore. I'm not, I don't feel supported. There's no way I'm going to go into a launch with your VAs supporting me, because your VAs are just giving me nothing but excuses. I tried to work it out, couldn't, tried to charge back, couldn't. And I'm just out $2,400. And it's because I didn't read that contract. And it's also because I was really, really depressed this summer and had no business making business investments. So that's another kind of side tip. Like, you don't want to be making business investments from a state of desperation. And I know that's hard, especially if you've put a lot into your business already and it's not sustainable yet. It can get really, really, you can come from this place of desperation and, get into that mindset, that kind of brainwashing that, well, I just wasn't all in enough. I just have to be all in. I just got to invest more. And you want to be in a calm place before you choose a mentor. And I definitely was not mentally and emotionally in the right place to choose someone. And it caused me to make a really dumb mistake that I know better. I know better than to not read a contract. So just make sure you're reading contracts. And if there's absolutely no refunds, no cancellation policy, no termination clause, no way that you can get out of it, that is a red flag. And I have had people that I've worked with that they didn't have a termination clause, and I read their contract and I said, I will sign up with you if you will add in a termination clause that says that if I decide to quit after, a month or 2 months, then I get my money refunded, right? And people have been willing to add that in. So you, and then there's a couple people that I just didn't even ask because I knew that they wouldn't. I could just tell by the tone of their contract. And I got something out of the investment, but not enough to justify the 10 grand that I spend on them. So you want to be reading those contracts and you want to pay attention to your gut. You want to do, especially if you're hiring somebody for sales, you want to do a sales call with that person. So there's a lot of people, there's like this new thing where people are like, I'm going to teach you how to sell without sales calls. And the thing is that as you get further along in your business with a really, hot audience, or if you're willing to like overhype your programs and skew and lie to people, you can make sales without sales calls. But if you are a high integrity person and your audience is smaller and you're newer, then you need to do some sales calls, and you don't have to do them in a sleazy way. I'm not the only person that teaches ethical sales. I'm not the right coach for everybody. But if you're newer and you really want to get your business off the ground, doing sales calls is going to be the best thing. And, one of the biggest things I teach my clients is like, don't burn yourself out getting on calls with everybody. You need to do a lot of pre-qualifying. And in order to do that, you really have to be clear about who your ideal clients are. And then a concept that I teach is nightmare clients, right? So you need to be aware of the people you really love working with that get really great results with you. And then you also need to start being aware of who you hate working with and people who don't get good results with you, so that when you're doing your pre-qualifying and you're nurturing, you can quickly recognize who's who, so that you're not getting on sales call with people that are more than likely going to be a nightmare client, or you're not even getting on sales calls with people that probably aren't ready to buy yet, right? So sales calls don't have to be scary. I hated them. They used to make me sick to my stomach. But a lot of it was because I didn't feel like I really knew what I was doing, because the sales trainings were so bad. And the other thing is that I didn't feel ethically aligned with them. So it felt really gross. But you can find mentors that are aligned that will teach you really good skills to help you get your business off the ground. Yeah. So what free resource am I offering? This whole summit was your free resource. And I'm really excited that I got to put this together. I really appreciate everyone who volunteered their time, because we're not pitching. We're not pitching any paid products. I hope you guys have taken advantage of the free offers that people put out. Nobody participated in the promo, so nobody's getting the prizes. And there were some really, really fucking good prizes. But it's okay. This is an example of, I'm really passionate about this, and I spent a lot of money, on graphics and putting everything together, and really put a lot of time and effort into it. But I didn't do enough market research. So this, wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be, but that's okay. The information's out there, and you guys are going to have access in the group until November 12th, which is this coming Sunday, midnight Eastern US time. And then the big, like, drum roll, please. I'm sorry, I've already watched like the Christmas Vacation movie, so drum roll. And then my whole office like lights up like a space station. No, uh, no. But I'm going to actually turn these interviews into a podcast, so that it's just out there and it's available for people to get it as they need it. And also so that I can have more conversations with different types of entrepreneurs, or maybe even people that are in some of the same niches that I've talked to before, but they have a different perspective and they have some different tips on how people can invest more wisely. Because for most people, you need to invest in coaching if you're going to have a successful business. I've met 3 people in my entire life, my entire career as an entrepreneur, who didn't have a coach that were successful. 2 of them just worked their asses off and they just didn't have money for a coach. Another one is very successful, but her business tactics, even though she talks a lot about ethics, are not actually ethical. Yeah, takes a while for you to see that they're not ethical, but they're not ethical. So this information is going to be out there. Don't stress out if you didn't get to watch all the episodes or all the talks. You will have a chance to do that with the podcast, and I'll keep you guys updated about when that's coming out. So thank you so much for being a part of the summit. We appreciate you. To all my speakers, thank you so much for your time and giving so generously with your freebies and your gift offers that we didn't get to do. But that's okay. Yeah, I just really, it just warms my heart, and I just feel so good that we got this information out there, because I really do believe in the power of coaching and healing. Therapy saved my life, but personal growth made it worth living. So I'm not bashing coaching at all. I'm trying to clean it up, right? And everybody who was in this summit, right? It's a part of our mission to be a guiding light and to be true servants to our clients, and not take advantage of people, and to get this information out there so that it gets harder for the people who are scamming and predatory. And, most people who are working with them are not getting good results, but, they just excuse that to bad mindsets or whatever. We want to make it more difficult for those people to take advantage of people. We want to empower people and make you truly empowered buyers. Which empowered buyers means that you ask questions and you refuse to be rushed. So yeah, I'm going to stop babbling. I appreciate you guys so very much. Let me know if you have any questions about my talk about hiring a sales coach. I'm not a hardcore salesperson, so I'm not going to try to sell to you just because you reach out. And I'm very clear that I'm not the right sales coach for everyone. So, but if you have questions, just let me know, and I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to give you referrals to people that I think might, be a good fit for you, what have you. I really want the truly heart-centered, high-integrity coaches and healers, and service providers out there to be the ones that are killing it. That's what I'm about. So happy Friday, everybody. I look forward to your comments and questions, and I'll see you later, I guess. All right. Bye.